Hey guys, I'm imagining you in your offices saying, "Hi Bruce, hi." You're waving at the screen. I'm waving back at you. Nobody's looking in. It's nice to have you back again. I really enjoyed seeing you in Nashville, and I hope you had just a fantastic show. I was talking to Sally before we got started, and she said it was a really good show. So I hope it was for you as well. This is our second webinar. And what I wanted to do in this one was kind of follow up with your brand statement to see if you refined it, whether you used it actually on the show. I love walking around to your booth and having some of you say, yeah, we're using it. So, and listening to you as you were engaging your customers, I know the habit is to fall back into what we've been doing before we went through the seminar and stuff and developing that brand statement, because there's a little bit of nervousness in trying something different. But I hope you guys did. And there's a portion in the webinar in this hour that we're going to spend together where I'm going to ask, did it work? Did you try it? Did you not try it? If you did, how did your customers react? Both the good and the bad. And how did your teams react when you shared it with them? So we're going to have some fun for an hour. Thanks for taking the time out of your Friday to be here. Just take a deep breath and relax, and let's have some fun. In the announcement of this, I had asked Sally to share a story that I found online that is so applicable to what you guys are doing. If you didn't get a chance to read it, I know that you'll be able to pull it up, and if you can't find it, just ask Sally and she'll send it to you. It's a story about Dateline Digital, and they're a high-quality, short-run digital printing company. They're actually in Alaska. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I'm hoping you guys have already seen it, so I'm just going to whet your appetite with it. But here's why it was important. Their brand statement, and it says this in the article, is taking unusually good care of people. Just the kind of stuff that we were talking about, right? Taking unusually good care of people. So what they came up with is one of the owners was very much into gratitude, and so am I, so this has really appealed to me as well. But they decided that what they wanted to do was to give free thank you cards to anybody that signed up. So they decided, okay, anybody that signs up will get 3 thank you cards, and they can use those and they used them to put them on windshields, they send them to friends, they send them to family, gave them to spouse, all over the place. The other thing that it did is it also gave Dateline Digital an opportunity to showcase their quality printing. So the end result of it is, by following their brand statement, taking unusually good care of people, and finding a way, an action, remember it's thoughts, words, and actions, to showcase that by giving gratitude cards and looking after people by saying thank you. They now serve, they're in their 4th year, 1,000 people every quarter, and they've given out 20,000 thank you notes. And when the owner is quoted in the article, they ask him, well, what's the secret? And he says, combine something you care about, remember, something that's true, something you believe in, and combine that with something that you're good at. So finding your strength. So I thought that was a great article to share with you, and I hope you'll go back and look at it and maybe share it with your teams as well. The other story that I wanted to share with you is outside of your business, because I want to turn your heads again and think of perspective and taking a different perspective on how you look at that brand statement. So a few years ago, Lego was being told by all the big data. So, I mean, they've always been big enough to take a look at big data studies, and every one of them said they're finished. They're out of business because, right, Lego is putting small plastic blocks together, and what had happened was the internet. And so all kids were doing was going online and they were playing different video games. And so they came back and they said, all the big data said, everything is going digital. And kids have a need for instant gratification. They have a short attention span and limited creativity. So there's no way that they're going to continue playing with small plastic blocks. I hope you're catching why I'm bringing this up to you, because I think for some of you, specifically within the print industry, you live this world every day as you believe, and I get that your market share is reducing all the time. But here is a company that went and they said, okay, what makes us stand out? And you can see at the top of this slide that Lego in 2015 did in fact turn it around. They had 21% sales increase and a 31% net profits increase in 2015. So they went into their brand statement and they said, okay, what makes us stand out? And they happened to go to their customer, an 11-year-old boy in a mid-sized city in Germany. And he was very good at Legos, but he was also a really good skateboarder. And so they're talking to him about why he likes Legos. And at one point, one of the marketing guys from Lego says, okay, what's your prized possession? And he holds up these old sneakers. And he says, these are my prized possessions. And they say, why? And he says, well, look, they're worn down on the sides. The heel has just the right angle of wear on it, i.e. to show that this guy was really proficient at skateboarding. So the answer came to them like a light bulb. And it was that children attain social credibility with a high level of mastery at their chosen skill. I know this may not be making sense to you at this point, but look at this next slide. Lego is now the world's largest toy maker, and they passed Mattel. And last year they were named the world's most powerful brand. And that's based on ad recognition, consumer loyalty, and reputation. Here's what they did. They focused on their core product. Because of what that boy, that 11-year-old boy said, that they realized that, and you guys may know this, one of the things that Lego tried to do to save their market was they diversified a lot. They went away from their core product. In fact, one of the things that they did within their Lego sex is they went to larger bricks. If you've got kids or grandkids, you may have experienced that time. I know I did with my kids, when the bricks got bigger. So instead what they did was they got rid of the large bricks. They went back to the small bricks. They actually added even smaller bricks. They made the instruction manuals more exacting, more complicated, and they made the construction of the items that they wanted kids to do more intensive, because they realized that their core value was to inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. And they realized by asking their customers, what are we good at? What they were good at was getting kids to become really socially adept at something that was difficult. And by doing that, they got social recognition, and that's why they wanted to play Legos. It was exactly the opposite. They didn't want it to be easier. They didn't want it to be something that was simple for them to do. They wanted it to be difficult. The power words, we talked about this in both sessions. The words have power, and some words have more power than others. The power words that Lego uses to describe their company is play, imagination, creativity, quality, learning, and care. And as you'll see here, the care is their emphasis. Those are the power words that they use to describe their company. Now, all of that takes us to, how do I spread this throughout the rest of my company? Here's what Lego did, and here's what you're doing as well. When you can't see any daylight between what you believe, what you practice, and what you offer, and what you say about yourself, then you're doing what great brands do. Everything has to fit together. Dr. Seuss, another great brand, and he says it this way: Today you are you, and that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. You have a particular strength. Your business has a particular strength. It's not even that it's something that you do differently than anybody else within your competitive set. It's not that you're different than anybody else. It's that you're specific. Your strength is unique to you. So the entire company should be considered your branding department, and that's where we're going to talk about here. The power words. From the quotes that I've been showing you, these are some of the words that were used within those quotes. Believe, true, practice, promise, expectation, connection, emotional, and of course, no one alive youer than you. For all these reasons, the reasons that you need to be finding what it is that's your strength, that is unique to your company, and then sell that to your internal customers. So I'm going to, before I give you some answers on how you can spread that throughout the rest of the company, I want to hear from you guys, and Sally is, I hope, now taking you off of mute. And I hope somebody will step up and say, oh, okay, what worked? What didn't? How did your customers react? And how did your teams on the floor react? Maybe what have you done since you come back? Anybody? No? I can hear, when I say no, I can hear my voice echoing. No. Who has a brand? Can you tell me that? Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one, Sally. That you believe in, what you personally stand for. But a business brand requires that the people throughout the organization, they believe, they buy in, and they promote one central message. So it's really the same thing, it's just that you need the buy-in from all your departments saying the same thing. So this is what you signed on for. So how do you get consensus from the rest of your departments? What is the follow-up that you can take to those departments? Well, the first thing I would suggest are surveys, both internal to, you know, the production department, your graphics department, your sales department, your CSR department, and your external customers as well. Now, if I were you and I were unmuted, I would be asking, okay, what do those surveys look like? What kind of questions would I ask them? Well, it's going to be really, I would suggest you're going to use the same kind of questions that I put to you within the on-site face-to-face seminar. So if you think back, some of those questions would be, do you like working here? Now say you're going through, you might use SurveyMonkey as an example. That's inexpensive or no cost for you to develop a survey with them, and you can do, you know, multiple choice, you can do open-ended question surveys, and you can do yes-no questions. So as I take you through this, know that SurveyMonkey can answer all of those, and there's several other similar companies that can do this for you as well. Actually, in this part of it, this is often where companies bring in frontline marketing, where this is where they bring in me, because you can absolutely do this yourself. You can assign it to somebody within your company and within your marketing company to do this, but oftentimes a company will bring in someone like me who is a third party who can kind of move the process forward and help to analyze the data that you get back. But let's go back to the surveys. So some other questions that you would ask. Describe the characteristics of your company. You know, what is it you like about it? What's one thing that you want to change? What's your favorite characteristic about the company? Who's a hero in your company? This is obviously internal questions. Choose 4 words to describe your company. This is going to get you to the power words. And the power words, when you're analyzing those, hopefully what you're going to start to find is a common denominator about the things that they describe about your company. And then what day-to-day interactions do you appreciate? What are you grateful for about working here? Those are the type of survey questions that you would ask. Now, for an external survey to go to your customers, you're going to change them up a little bit, but it's going to be similar to those in that, why do you like working with us? Describe an occasion when we were extremely successful. What are the qualities that you most like about working with us? So that you're getting the customer to start thinking about your company as a partner rather than a vendor. You don't want to be a commodity. You want to be in a partnership with these people. So you're starting to ask them questions, because when we go to the customers, just like Lego goes to the 11-year-old boy, why are you so good at Legos? What keeps you coming to work on Legos? It took them asking that question of their customer for them to have an epiphany, you know, a light bulb moment where they could really see, oh, it's these items. It's making it more difficult. It's not making it simpler. And your customers will do the same thing. Other things that to gain consensus and buy-in from your internal customers. And again, I'm talking about your sales, your CSRs, your web operators, your press operators. I like the DISC. It's an assessment tool, and I've used it with a lot of customers. The DISC it explores communication across 4 primary dimensions. You guys may be familiar with it. The 4 dimensions are dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. The reason that I like it, and the reason I like it for you in getting buy-in from the rest of your teams, is it's difficult. All of these tools are to get buy-in, because you can go and you can say, okay, this is our brand statement. We're going to, you know, we're going to make our customers shine. Maybe that's your brand statement. And you can tell everybody in your organization that that's your brand statement. But unless they believe it along with you, unless you have buy-in from them, then it's very difficult to move that through and to make it part of the culture of your business. So what the DISC does and what the survey questions do is the DISC is a communication tool, and it helps us better understand ourselves and others, because what it'll show you is that Phil may like communicating in a dominant style, and you know, Steve may like communicating more in an influential style. He may want consensus. When each person understands how the other one communicates, they can change their communication styles a little bit to make sure that their people are actually listening to them and that they're hearing them rather than just nodding their heads. So it opens up the lines of communication within a business. Strengths Finder. There's several different strengths assessments that you can use. I actually think, though, that you'd be best served by using a character strengths survey. Now, that's going to measure the different strengths of people that you give it to. And it's not that we only have one, but we usually have a grouping of several. And a character strength, to give you examples of some of those, of what those look like, they might be bravery, kindness, forgiveness, hope, leadership, perspective, persistence, teamwork, enthusiasm, curiosity, fairness. These are characters that that talk about a person and a business's reputation. And that's really what your brand is. It's your reputation that you're taking out to the market. It's the way people look at you, and when they say your name, it's what they think about you. So you want that both internally and externally. So if you give your internal customers, your employees, a character strengths assessment, then you're starting again to get these powerful words about who are the people that I actually hired, who are the people that are working day to day in this organization, and what is it that they bring to my organization. I hired them for certain reasons and to get certain tasks done, and probably intuitively you knew that those strengths that they brought to the table would make your company a stronger company. But now it's time to dig in and to ask them and to find out from them what their real character strengths are. And from that, you're getting closer to what that brand statement's going to be, just like Lego or just like Dataprint did. Then there's group discussions, and I can't emphasize these enough. People like to get together. They like to talk about, yes, you may get into some bitch sessions, and whoever you put in charge is going to have to know how far to let that go, to allow people to vent on the things that are wrong, because that's our human nature is often to lead with what we don't like. But with very minimal amount of that, actually you can bring them back and encourage them to talk about what they really like about where they work. We spend so much time at work, and we don't give people chances often enough to say what it is they like about where they work and who they work with and who their heroes are, and to voice their opinions, because we want our opinions to be heard. And so your group discussions, both large, where several departments get together and they can learn from each other. I was actually in a meeting in Nashville where somebody brought that up, that they'd had great success by having their sales representatives in meetings with their sales people, and so that they could actually understand what each organization did. And by understanding and communicating together on that, you're going to get closer again to a consensus of where we want to go, because virtually everybody wants to do a good job. And if you have somebody in your organization that doesn't want to do a good job, then that's a malevolent person, and I would suggest that they move on to something else, because we do want to do a good job. We want to provide value to the people that pay us our salaries. So in these group discussions, that's where you're going to get to. The small group discussions are where I'm thinking about there is whether if you have a graphics department where you want to get those guys together, or your sales department where you want to talk with them one-on-one and talk about what's going on in their department, what's going well, and where their goals are and where they want to get to. Because again, what you're going to do is you're going to take all this information of really asking the same kinds of questions in different formats, and what you're going to come up with is what are we really about? What do we really offer to our customers that is unique to us, which is our strength? And then finally, it has to be from the leadership, and I'm hoping that those that are on here are leaders. We all have an opportunity to lead, and we all should be leading, but we have to get to those people that hire and fire us, that really have the power to say this is the direction in which we're going to go. So there does come a point when it's a telling, when there's a decision, when we've gone through all the gyrations like surveys and assessments and discussions, when we get to here's what we found out. Thank you everybody for your participation. And based on all of your opinions and the participation that you've given, we're going to go in this direction, and our brand statement for these reasons, because of you, is this. And then leading them. Now, the next part of that is reminding you of something that you already know. First, we've talked about this now in 2 other sessions, and I'm doing it again now. You have to do the work. You have to do the work, and you know this. I mean, you're successful in your own rights now. To become more successful is doing more of the same. But it starts with a thought. That thought is then manifested into a word, and then you have to take the actions to back up what you've been saying. So I know I'm not telling you anything new, but in this slide with Albert Einstein, what he said is so true. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. It's those, if we continue to do the same, how does he put it? He puts it differently in another quote, but it's really saying the same thing. The definition of insanity, you've heard this, right, is doing the same things in the same way and expecting a different result. So the challenge to you is to think differently and then find those words of power to support that thought and then take the actions that support those words. So here is really the key. Here is the key for you to infiltrate it throughout your whole organization. You've got to measure, coach, and reward. You've got to measure, coach, and reward. So examples of those would be to watch for real-life examples of whatever that brand promise that you come up with is going to be, and watch for it in action. And that's taking a measure of that. We saw in the CSR department, for instance, going back to the example I just gave you that somebody gave me in Nashville, is we've decided on we make our customers shine. So when you see your CSRs, when you're walking around and you find that a CSR has taken an action to make that customer shine, then you note that, because they've really fulfilled the brand promise at that point. You challenge your departments and your department heads and individuals to come up with ways that they're filtering, again measuring, decisions through the brand promise. So again, we talked about we really only have so many hours in the day, and we only have so much energy that we're going to dedicate to our jobs. So the most efficient way to use our energy is to remain focused on doing tasks that fulfill that brand promise. So again, if my brand promise is we make customers shine, then you want to challenge your departments to find ways that they can do that. How might you make your customer shine? And you're going to find that you can find ways to do it in every department, whether that's in your production department, in your bindery, in with your CSRs, with your salespeople. Assign someone to ask and answer how the brand promise is alive and well and growing by department. So whether that's your your CSR manager or your production manager, whether it's your sales manager, they have to continually follow up. What did you do today to make the customer shine? How are you making that part of the culture of our company? So the work that you've got to do is consistency. Once you've made the decision that this is where we're going to go, this tells the story, this is our reputation of who we are and who we wish to be moving forward, then the actions that you need to take have to be consistently followed up on. And that's where your work becomes difficult, because we get distracted. And we have to come back and we have to continually ask the same question. Again, how did you make the customer shine today? And then highlight that brand promise in action and rewarding them for it. So it's finding Sylvia and saying, thank you, Sylvia, because you did make the customer shine today, because you called them on the day that their shipment was going to ship out, and you reminded them and you said, hey, customer A, we're so pleased to be able to tell you that your shipment is leaving today. It's on the dock and it's out the door. And that's one action that makes that customer shine. And so recognize Sylvia for following through and doing that. It's finding Jason in in the packing, you know, where he has used the correct box, you know, to package those customers' products so that it arrives at that customer with the way it's supposed to, you know, that it's not scattered through a box that he picked that was too large for the product, that it was exactly the right size. And that's something that he did to make the customer shine. And so you want to notice those actions and you want to reward him for it. It can, and it's determining what is a reward for each one of those individuals. Is it's something that you put on an LED screen outside your building, or is it a thank you for doing exactly what you did, or is it an announcement over your loudspeaker? Is it a picture? You know, you'll find those ways to reward them, and everybody wants to be rewarded in different ways. Not everybody likes to be rewarded in front of the whole organization. Some of us do. Some of us want to be rewarded in private. But, I mean, it's a continual effort to how do I make the customer shine is both an internal brand promise as well as an external brand promise. Hopefully that makes sense to you, because Sylvia wants to, she is your customer as well. And so you want to note when she does something that where her energy is put directly where it needs to go, which is against that brand promise. I made the customer shine, and now you have to turn it back on her and say you shine for us. And so thank you for keeping the brand promise alive. Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, says this: if people believe they share values with a company, they will stay loyal to the brand. They've obviously done that with Starbucks. Whether you like Starbucks or not, you will agree that Starbucks is a very successful branded company. And as you're looking at this quote and you're thinking of the word Starbucks, there are words that are coming to your mind. And they're powerful words to describe that brand. Think of it for just a second. You can't stop it, whether it's barista, whether it's expensive, whether it's click, whether it's you know, completely re-energized and developed a whole industry around coffee. Those kind of words all could be used to describe Starbucks coffee and the brand that they deliver. Barista, smell, community, you know, creative. All of those words could be used to describe Starbucks coffee, and that's what you're going for as well. You want your baristas within your organization to be as happy as Starbucks is in having their baristas work for them. And that's because those same words that you have in your mind about Starbucks apply to your organization as well. And that's why you're going back, and why I'm telling you that I think your best opportunity to spread the message of and find your brand promise is to use things like surveys, use things like assessments, use things like small and large group discussions, because at that point you're getting the buy-in from your employees, just as Starbucks does with their people. And when we share the values, when everybody has the same buy-in, that we all agree that our strength, our opportunity, what we deliver on a day-to-day basis is that we make the customer shine. When we all agree from top to bottom, then we're going to remain more loyal to that company. We're going to want to live that brand promise. We're proud to work for that company. And they may be proud to work for you now, but by bringing it to light and putting the focus on it, now what they understand is I can point to something specific that I believe in, and the reason that I work for this company, the reason I give my best every day is because I get an opportunity to live that culture, to live that brand promise, to make the customer shine every day. And that's ultimately what you want to get done. So it comes down to this: to change your situation, you first have to change your mind. I thank you for those of you that are on the line. I thank you for participating through all 3 sessions. I wish you nothing but great success in figuring out what your brand statement and your power words are within your whole organization. All the very best to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruce, and thank you everyone for participating in today's webinar. You can find the recording of today's webinar later on this week posted on the website. Again, thank you, Bruce, for all of your help and all of your content. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of the day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.